Good morning from Porto. Boy, I slept pretty well. I kind of slept like what's the expression, a bug in a rug? I I got home last night after walking around this town of Porto, and those of you that follow me, I uploaded a video with the visit to the library, and then after the library, I went and had some hell, I don't even remember the name. I don't know. Anyway, I I was walking around the town last night, and it's definitely different than Lisbon for sure. There's no doubt about it. It's colder. It's colder up here, and we're 3 hours north, so naturally that's no surprise. It kind of as I walked around the city, no surprise. It kind of as I walked around the city last night, kind of reminded me a little bit of walking around the streets of a city, maybe in the Netherlands or something. The Netherlands or Scotland or maybe even Ireland, just with the granite and the temperature and what have you. But it was interesting. First impression, it seems like it's a wonderful, wonderful city. And I'm going to do my best to get out and see some of the highlights of the city. The weather's not going to be the weather is not going to be all that great this weekend. Probably be overcast the majority of the time that I'm here, and who knows whether it's going to be raining or pouring or just drizzling. But nonetheless, so I did a walk. Did my thing last night walking around, and then I got home to an apartment, and there was no power. There was no power. Flipping on the lights and everything. There was just no power in the apartment. And right away, I realized what had happened. They brought in another heater, a bigger heater. Well, these heaters run off electricity, and they left two heaters plugged in. And when I came in, I guess the moment I flipped that switch on the light, it was enough to throw the circuit. And boy, I was pissed. I was pissed. And I called the number, and the poor girl that answered, she's not the owner of the company. She doesn't have control of this stuff. And I was pleasant and nice enough to her, and she told me where to turn the power back on. But anyway, so I here I sit, here I sit. I woke up. I woke up this morning after I actually slept well, interestingly enough, and by closing the door to the bathroom and closing the door to the so it's not terrible. My, as I sit here thinking, quiet morning, and you can see everything. Are these little tiny stools? You see, so this kind of makes it for an interesting thing to just sit on one of these to try to do your work. But nonetheless, I'm adapting. And as I sit here, and I find myself thinking about the situation, leader, and everything. I find myself, you know what? There are so many people in this world that would switch places with me in a heartbeat. And I don't mean that from the perspective of, I don't mean that from the perspective of being able to travel and all that type of stuff, because that goes without saying that there's a lot of people in the world that would trade places with me in that regard. But more specifically, I'm just talking about having a roof over my head, just having a roof. I mean, why? How can how can I complain? You got to find a balance between as you go through life. You really have to find a balance between uh, what is what can be expected, and well, I'm having a hard time articulating my thoughts. But I come into this apartment and it's not exactly what I wanted. It doesn't have the heating, that one would think that it would have. And you would think that if you book an apartment like this, that they're going to be uh, prepared, so to speak. But but then on the flip side of it, as I sit here thinking about it, I think maybe I'm just releasing steam. Maybe it's not as bad as I'm making it to seem, and I'm just releasing steam. The heater situation. Maybe that's an outlet for my frustrations, if you will. And oftentimes people will use stuff in life. They'll have the day-to-day stresses that just build up, and then it's like they're just waiting for something to happen, or someone to do something, and just to release all of that bad, what do you want to call it, bad energy or whatever it is. So anyway, sounds like I'm babbling. If it sounds like I'm babbling, I probably am. But anyway, so on to another subject, and the repeating myself. This is going to be something that will be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see if I, how that whole thing evolves. Because as I said yesterday in the video, sitting here and doing a video live like this, just talking to a camera, is not the easiest thing in the world, especially when you're trying to do it in a very short period of time, and to articulate your thoughts. Sometimes it can be a little bit challenging to remember what you said and what you didn't say, and what have you. But anyway, so I started looking last night at my exit strategy. I've heard that phrase a lot in business. What's your exit strategy? And 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 I find myself thinking of my exit strategy here, and I found myself thinking yesterday I'm going to go to Dusseldorf, and I'll go to Dusseldorf because I can get a direct flight over to Fort Myers. And then I started looking into it a little bit, and the only airline that really does that direct flight is called Eurowings, and it's a budget airline. It's a discount airline. And I started thinking about that, and I started thinking, okay, it's going to cost me $300 for that one-way ticket, but at what expense? And I started reading up on some of the reviews of Eurowings, and it's a low-budget airline. And I'm thinking to myself, do I really want to fly 10 or 11 hours to save $200 in an uncomfortable seat on a questionable airline? So I started digging around yesterday, and I'm poking around websites. And interestingly enough, I was able to find some other airlines going out of like Brussels, and they go to the United States via Reykjavik. And the flight from Brussels to Reykjavik is only 2 or 3 hours, maybe 2 hours, something like that. And the flight from Reykjavik over to the U.S. mainland is only about 6 hours. So what I may actually do is see if I can't find my way over to Reykjavik right around the middle of December, and catch a flight from Reykjavik, over to the United States. So we will see. There I go, repeating myself with we will see. So anyway, so that's about it. That's about it for the day. It's a quiet day here, and it's ideal for working. What I'm doing right now, for those of you interested in the business aspect of my life, I'm going through and compiling a table in my database of all the different tire manufacturers, like Goodyear, Goodrich, whatever. compiling a database to be able to integrate that into my clients' websites that sell tires. So that's the task at hand today, and that's about it. Not much more. Not much more on my not much more on my mind. So anyway, everybody have a great day and take good care. All right. All right. Bye bye. Oh, by the way, I forgot. I forgot to mention. I was talking with Oz down under. Oz is a longtime follower of mine, and Oz said that when I come down to Melbourne to visit him, that he and I are going to go on he wants to do a strict 14-day diet, including exercise. He wants to get out. He wants to do a whole video series with me, similar to what I did with my dad, where we went on this Sonoma diet. So Oz wants to do this really strict diet. I I don't know. I think he wants to like juice in the morning, and he wants to walk like 8 kilometers a day or something with me, and all of this stuff. So we will see. We'll see how that all works out. All right. Anyway, take good care. Okay. Bye bye.